Welcome to Stoked with Megan McPhail, the podcast that helps you get super effing jazzed about your work, life, and bank account. I'm your host, Megan McPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become a seven-figure business coach, entrepreneur, and elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on inspiring others to do the same. Are you ready to say goodbye to the 9-to-5 grind and start going after some big, bold dreams? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan McPhail.
And your co-host, Todd Reedy.
And in today's episode, I want to talk about a buzzword in the online space, which is manifestation. And I've been into it lately, even though it's a little woo-woo, a little woo-woo-y. So I want to talk about the science behind it today and kind of the realities behind it and how you can use it in your life and business to hit some really big goals. So I've prepared a bunch of stuff and did some research. Todd has not. So we're going to be getting Todd's honest opinion on some of this manifestation stuff and see if I can get him to start believing in manifestation. What do you think about that, Todd?
We'll see.
Yes, we'll see.
I'll play devil's advocate / skeptic.
Yeah, ooh, that's good. Skeptic is good. Okay, so what is manifestation, first of all? It is the process of bringing our goals, desires, and intentions into reality through the power of our thoughts and emotions. I've even had people, I've seen people who've just been like, oh yeah, it's like prayer, but I'm not religious whatsoever, so we're just going to call it manifestation. Yeah, and it's based on the idea that what we focus on, we attract into our lives. And if we're focusing on a lot of negativity, a lot of victimhood, a lot of like, oh, you can't do that in this economy type of vibes, or I'll never make money. Like, yeah, you never will make money and stuff. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that by aligning our thoughts and emotions with some of our desired outcomes for our personal lives and our businesses, you can manifest your dream life and your dream house and your dream vacation and your dream husband or something like that. Like you can manifest these things out of your thoughts. And I think that, there's just so much to unpack there, right? Positive thinking is crucial to doing a lot of amazing things in our lives. Like if you are pessimistic and don't work towards anything, you're not going to see any results of anything. But this idea that you can just think these happy thoughts and they just come to be, it's a little bit more than that. So what are your first thoughts on this idea that you can think of a dream house or a dream business or $1 million paycheck and it'll happen?
It's pretty woo-woo-y. When you put it in words like that, it's very pipe dreamy, rainbows and unicorns, wishy-washy. But when you phrase it or use terminology that I'm more comfortable with about like positive thinking or like an abundance mindset, that resonates a little bit more and seems more in line with reality.
Yeah. You mean I can't just think of $1 million and just get $1 million?
If only.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy, and it's not really. And it really does come down to mindset. And one of my favorite examples of this, though, was like Jim Carrey uses manifestation a lot, and the idea that having this end goal in mind and kind of aligning your thoughts and your emotions and kind of embodying that before it happens is what will lead to it happening, which I can agree with. Like he wrote himself a $2 million check that he kept in his wallet for years as a struggling actor. And then he was paid $2 million for one of his earlier movies. I think it was The Mask or something like that. He got paid that exact amount and he made it happen. And I think anybody who doesn't have something they're working towards and they're just, kind of passively accepting what happens to them, maybe they would have quit a long time ago and never gotten that. Maybe Jim Carrey would have quit. But because he had this $2 million check in his wallet, he kept going and kept going and kept going until he saw that money. And it took a while. It took years and years and years. It never takes the quick amount of time we want it to. But that's kind of like an example of manifestation where you're actually aligning your thoughts, your actions, your emotions with this end goal. So another way that people talk about manifestation is called the law of attraction, which is basically like you use positive thoughts to attract positive outcomes. So you'll see the law of attraction and manifestation, those kind of words flip-flopped around and stuff like that. So I want to talk about the science behind manifestation. And honestly, there isn't a lot of scientific research about manifestation specifically, but there are some journal articles and stuff like that about some of the concepts that are aligned with manifestation, like positive thinking and visualization, because this is an important component of manifestation. So when you visualize your desired outcome, your desired dream house, like when I think of our dream house in Taos, I can see the views, I can see the garage door windows that I want, and like the fireplace and the kitchen island, like I see all of it. And visualizing our desired outcome or goal in detail is super important to manifesting what we want. And there is a study published in the Journal of Sports Sciences that found that athletes who used visualization techniques as part of their training program showed significant improvements in their athletic performance compared to those athletes that did not use visualization. And if you ever watched like Olympic gymnasts or something, oftentimes before one of their routines, whether it's on the bars or floor or something, they'll close their eyes and you'll see them kind of like their head moving as they are visualizing themselves go through the movement. And even I try to do that. So even when I'm skiing, I'll visualize myself kind of going back and forth and what I want my skiing to look like. And I do think it helps, although I still kind of suck at skiing. But yeah, the visualization part of manifesting our goals is huge. And you've mentioned that before, the visualization thing with athletes.
Yeah, so I have heard visualization used pretty often in like high performing athletes, professional athletes, or musicians, or like CEOs, or like in the business world of people doing like rehearsing or visualizing themselves giving big presentations or a big sales pitch or something like that. So I think that part isn't so abnormal to me. But what else do you have to say?
Yeah.
What else does the science show?
So the Journal of Positive Psychology found that participants who engaged in those types of positive visualization exercises that a lot of people do when they're trying to manifest something big, they experienced increased feelings of well-being, greater levels of positivity in their life. And this was statistically significant when compared to the people who were not participating in those exercises. So essentially, they felt better about their life. So yeah, it makes sense that if you think positively and you envision positive things, that your life becomes more positive. But that's important for working through goals and stuff. Like you can't be sad and pissed and angry and negative and then hit big goals. Like you have to be positive. Similarly, there was a study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine that found that participants who wrote down positive affirmations for 3 weeks experienced a significant decrease in stress and significantly improved moods compared to a control group. So again, affirmations, thinking positively, having gratitude, those are all big parts of manifesting dreams, and it will affect you positively.
I actually was going to ask you about if there was anything in the research about affirmations.
Yeah, well, there you go. And that's just goes to show I try to get everybody to say affirmations, and it seems really weird at first, but you've started saying some.
Yeah, just unrelated to this podcast. I did a few days ago, did some research, wrote down 10, did them a couple days. It was really weird. And then I gave up.
Yeah. Another article from the Journal of Neuroscience found that the brain's neural activity is significantly influenced by our thoughts and expectations and visualizations. And basically, like, our brain activates the same neural networks that would be activated if we were actually experiencing these things in real life. So being able to visualize yourself hitting these big money goals, buying this awesome house, traveling to this place, quitting your job, your brain will connect little neurons as if those things were actually happening in real life, which goes into neural plasticity. And like our brain is like plays the most crucial role in the process of manifestation. Like our thoughts and our emotions are processed by the brain. Essentially, whatever we are thinking or visualizing, the more detail we have, the more our brain is really experiencing it as if it's in real life, which is kind of crazy. So it will create all these neural pathways and connections that support that focus. So if you're focusing on these things you want to manifest on, your brain supports that, which is great because a lot of times our brain is basically trying to make us like hide in a corner in our comfort zone and tell us, no, don't do that. That's scary. Who are you to do those things? Like our brain is normally triggering lots of negative thoughts. So the more that you can utilize kind of these positive visualizations, the more your brain changes and adapts to that. So it's called neuroplasticity, and it allows us to create all these new pathways and connections. And basically, our brain can rewire itself in response to our experiences and thoughts. So if you are just full of negative experiences and negative thoughts, I imagine you're not going to accomplish a lot. Whereas if you're full of positivity, positive thoughts, focusing on positivity, focusing on big goals, your brain kind of rewires itself to support that. And so again, but like, how do these goals just happen? A lot of the people who teach manifestation kind of claim that the universe is conspiring to give you everything that you want, is what they say. And that if you think it enough and in the right way and have the right emotions surrounding it, that the universe will give you, in the right frequency, which I don't even know what they mean by that. If you like vibrate at a higher frequency, the universe will give you all the things you desire. What do you think about that?
That language is a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, it is a little bit for me too.
But I mean, the concept makes sense if you like use regular language though. Like if you put out good vibes, good things will happen. And I know that I have heard and I've tried and I've experienced it that, yeah, like if you are thinking a bunch of negative thoughts, like by default, your brain wants to think more negative thoughts and you have to kind of rewire yourself to think positively. And the more you think positively, the more you'll think of positive things. So kind of like those practices of writing 3 great things that happened today or 3 things that you're thankful for. I mean, it all fits within this realm. It's just the language sounds so crazy and just too science fiction-y.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree. I don't really feel like the universe is conspiring to give me all the things that I want. What I do think, though, is that if I can align my thoughts and my feelings with a desired outcome, that I will then take the action towards those goals. And that's where I think manifestation can be powerful because it basically propels you forward. And really, all of our success in life is based on action taking. You sitting in your room in a crazy thought loop is not going to accomplish anything. And that's what so many people experience, right? They just think things or whatever. And like they are never inspired to take action on these things and get uncomfortable and take the risk and quit their job and launch this business and even reach out to somebody that may be interested in buying their services or whatever. Like we stop ourselves from taking these very important actions. Whereas if you follow manifestation, maybe not all the woo-woo stuff, but you focus on something and you align your thoughts and feelings with that thing, you visualize it in great detail, like having $1 million drop into your bank account or whatever crazy thing it is. You embody that and kind of like think, okay, what's the kind of person that I need to be for that to happen? And then as your brain kind of rewires itself to be that person, you start taking the actions that support that person in that dream. And that's where I think manifestation is very powerful because then you're doing the things you need to do to accomplish your goals, whereas so many people never take the actions.
Yeah.
They make excuses not to take the actions. They say, oh, the market's too saturated, or it's not perfect enough, or like, who am I to accomplish this thing? Or I'm okay with living in a studio apartment. I don't need a dream house, you know? They make every excuse under the sun, whereas somebody who's actively trying to manifest their dreams, they're aligning everything for them to be able to take that crazy, scary, risky action.
I think that kind of goes along with kind of the idea of like, yeah, like your self-identity of like, if you identify as X, then you'll like pursue those type of things. So like,
Right.
I call myself a runner. And so by default, I'm going to do things that a runner would do. So I'd go for runs more than once a week.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Like, I'm a painter. I'm going to be painting. I'm thinking about painting. I go look at art. Yeah, a million other examples that I can't think of. But
Yeah.
like, I am healthy. I'm going to make healthy decisions. Would a healthy person eat an entire chocolate cake? No. And so I want to be a healthy person, so I'm not going to do that, right? So kind of aligning those thoughts and like those identity characteristics allows you to be that thing.
Yeah. And alternatively, you know, if you have really negative self-talk and you think you're a failure, you're too stupid, or you're never going to achieve this thing, or why even think about it? Yeah, you're not going to make $1 million. You're never going to take the actions necessary to do that. You're never going to have your dream house because those things don't just fall out of the air.
Yeah.
They require work. They require consistency. They require discomfort. It requires a lot. So that's where I feel like this whole concept of manifestation for me makes sense. Not all the woo-woo stuff, but the fact that it can help you think bigger for yourself and then take the required actions. So there's a lot of practical techniques that you can utilize to manifest big things. And we've already kind of talked about them. The biggest one is visualization, you know, like really in detail. If you want a dream house, visualize that dream house, how it smells, how it sounds, where your dogs are going to be laying in the house, where you're going to be sitting with your coffee. Really have a detailed mental image because your brain can't distinguish the difference between reality and that house. And the more you can convince your brain to stop self-sabotaging you and let you take those risks and get out of your comfort zone, the better. So visualization is huge, and it's not just about thoughts, but also the emotions. So, you know, like sitting in that house, like how's it going to feel to be in your dream house? How's it going to feel when you're on that dream vacation, or you've launched that dream business, or you've quit your 9-to-5 job? Feeling those emotions, I think, is incredibly important for your brain to create those new neural pathways. The other technique to use is affirmations, mainly to increase kind of like positivity in your life and build confidence and, you know, talk about your goals. I say a lot of affirmations before I get on like a sales call when I'm trying to sell somebody, you know, a $12,000 elopement package or $6,000 worth of coaching or something. I'll often sit there and be like, okay, money flows easily and freely to me. Like this exchange of money is going to allow them to like have an amazing experience and for me to like further create my dream life, blah, blah, blah. And I'm an amazing person. I'm going to serve them so great, you know, serve them so well, you know, that kind of stuff. Like it sounds woo-woo-y, but it works to have positive affirmations. The next thing is expressing gratitude. So that's huge. I mean, feeling gratitude has been shown to actually like increase dopamine and serotonin in our brain, which we're all kind of low on, right? Like we all need more dopamine and serotonin. So expressing gratitude is huge. It's going to help shift our mindset towards abundance and being able to manifest more of what we want. Meditation is another one. I know you meditate. I don't. I need to work on this, but I can't lay still and not have my mind just racing about a million different things. But meditation does help focus our attention, and what we focus on magnifies. So if you are focusing on all the positivities and your goals and how great life is, you can reduce your stress, you can reduce your anxiety, you can have better mental clarity, focus, and align with your goals even better. And then the big thing, the most important thing is the action taking. That's the most important part of manifestation. And it kind of stems from all the positive thinking and emotions, as that allows you to take the actions necessary. So you'll take messy, imperfect, crazy action towards your goals if your brain's kind of aligned with that goal and is focused on that goal and already sees you living in that goal. It's not going to hold you back from it anymore. And that's where I think everybody can use some manifestation techniques on a daily basis to work towards building the business and the life and the bank account of your dreams. What would you say about all that?
Yeah, it makes sense. Again, I think it's just I get wrapped up around the really flu-fluey,
the universe talk and the frequency and stuff.
Yeah, and kind of this idea of just thinking things into fruition. But yeah, meditation's great. Positive thinking, affirmations, all these things I think they're real.
Yeah.
So, do you want to get personal real fast?
Sure. And I also have a crazy thought that I want to share too.
Okay. Let's get personal
Okay.
first. So I know you already mentioned you think about and manifest our dream house.
Mm-hmm.
What other things do you manifest? Or are you currently manifesting?
That's really the big one, honestly. I mean, I know I have this goal of hitting $1 million in a year, and I've been kind of like losing that goal lately. Like that money isn't as important lately. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's more quiet moments, free time, no hustling, just like us hanging in our cool house with the amazing views of the mountains with all of our dogs. And it's funny because even for as much as I talk about how much I want chickens and ducks and cows and alpacas and stuff like that, like they're not in that vision.
Interesting.
But I can see it all like very clearly, which is interesting. And it's just like a peaceful place.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, and a G-Wagon. I don't know why I want a flashy ass car, but I do. I want a G-Wagon. There's one in our neighborhood that's like gunmetal colored, and every time I drive past it, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful car. Okay, anyway. What are you like? You said you wanted to get personal.
Well, like I said, I'm doing the affirmations or trying to, which are again kind of more personal type things, which I can't really remember them right now, actually. But
I mean, you're not really like actively manifesting anything.
I don't think
right
so.
now.
No, I've been doing more meditation, which has been really good, but that's not like focused on like things or the future. So let's just being a little bit more mindful of things.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm just way too passive in life unless I'm actively working towards something. And that's where like my practice of manifestation helps me.
Okay.
You know, like it just helps me keep pushing towards goals and keep taking action towards those goals and to feel myself in that life and embody that person who is in that life. Because I really feel like when you think it and feel it and embody it before it happens, that's how you make it happen. Like you kind of have to be the 6-figure elopement photographer before you actually make 6 figures. Like you have to be living that life and see it for yourself before you hit it. Or you have to see yourself as the $1 million coach and make the decisions and feel the feelings and act and walk the walk before you hit $1 million. That's what I feel like manifestation is like. And the crazy thoughts I have sometimes are like the idea that we can think something in our brain and then bring it to life is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like what other animal can do that? You know, like I'm going to come up with some crazy idea and then make it happen. It's just really interesting to me. And everybody has different crazy thoughts. Like some people want to cure cancer. Some people want to save orphans in Africa. Some people want to cure world hunger. We all have different things that we want to do in this world. And so many of us are just trying to stuff them deep down and forget about them because we're working on whatever dumb job we have, right? But like, what if all of our crazy thoughts are things that we are literally supposed to be going after? And we're actively, like, we're logically and rationally trying to not do those things. But those are the things we're really, truly supposed to be doing. And we're trying to, like, convince ourselves otherwise. But that's why so many of us have these horrible feelings about their jobs and careers and lives because they're not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah, kind of like a calling.
Mm-hmm. Like if you dream it up, you have to do it, is how I think. Like I've been dreaming up an Airbnb for a long time. I feel like I have to get an Airbnb or else I'm going to go my whole life haunted by that thought of like, I wanted to do an Airbnb and I never did. Do you have any of those thoughts?
Yes, but I think they're more like on a more practical sense of like, all right, if I want to do this, like I want to start whatever, a new business XYZ, like more of like, how am I going to actually implement that and do it? More of like a checklist,
Yeah.
like steps to that goal, as opposed to more of like this conceptual, emotional voyage of like, how is it going to feel? What is it going to look like? What is it going to taste like? It's more of, all right, if I do this in steps 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think that's more your logical part of your brain. I feel like there's a part of your brain that's just like a daydreamer, and it's like just kind of open. And I don't know, maybe I'm just me and just my friends experience this, but like just random thoughts will pop into my head. Like, oh, what if I did this or what I did that? And I get so fixated on them. And it's like a download. Like, where the fuck did that thought even come from? That's where I start getting on the woo-woo side. Like, is the universe trying to tell me something? Like, literally this crazy thought came out of nowhere. But that's kind of my like daydreaming part of my brain. That's like, ooh, what about this and that? And like kind of presents options to me just to see how I feel about it.
And that aligns with kind of our personality differences of like, you're more of like the dreamer, the big picture type of person, or I'm more in the weeds, like little steps at the granular level to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's interesting.
But you do have like bucket list things you want to do, like raft the Grand Canyon and stuff like that. And like, those are still things you could like manifest. I mean, you kind of manifested the John Muir Trail.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell that story.
Yeah. So that was on my like bucket list for years before I met Megan, before this idea of entrepreneurship and leaving an engineering career. And so I quit my job. And so I was starting the videography lifestyle, but I didn't have a ton of stuff booked, and it must have just not been, I didn't have anything in this one particular window in the summer of 2021. And again, I wasn't like actively thinking about it or pursuing a permit or asking friends if we could do it. But out of nowhere, a older friend reached out and said that they had an extra permit for the John Muir Trail. Yeah. And it aligned with my open window. And so I was able to prepare and go on it and fulfill that bucket list thing, which was awesome.
Yeah. It's also kind of like that quote that luck is just where opportunity meets preparedness or something like that. That's kind of like manifestation, like if you were still working your job, you would have had to say no, but because you happen to have quit and had money and an open schedule, you were able to make it happen, which some people would be like, oh, it's luck. But you can also say, oh, I manifested it, or, oh, I prayed for it, or, oh,
it's fate.
It's fate, or whatever is meant to happen, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, hopefully that kind of gave you some ideas about how manifestation can be used kind of daily in your life through visualizations, affirmations, meditations, taking action, gratitude, all that kind of stuff, so that you can start working on getting stoked about your dream life and business and bank account. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining our conversation. And if you have any thoughts or opinions on manifestation, I would love to hear them, because I love talking about this stuff, even if it's wackadoodle or even if it's scientific or whatever. I think there's so much more for us that we can learn about our brains and why and how we're able to do the things that we can do. And yeah, it's just a super cool concept. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Stoked with Megan McPhail. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring content, check us out on Instagram at Stoked with Megan McPhail. And to learn more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you quit your 9-to-5, visit my website at meganmcphail.com. I hope this leaves you feeling stoked. See you next week.